Hello and welcome to this new episode of Open Book Entrepreneur. Today we have Sinead here with us, and she's a transformational coach. So, Sinead, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for having me on. I'm delighted to be here today, and I'm a transformational coach. I'm the founder of Rise Coaching. So, essentially, what I do is I facilitate people through a coaching platform, 12-week coaching platform, group coaching, which would be 6 week, to help them to identify what I call the invisible prison that they might have created around them, which would include identifying kind of limiting beliefs, conditioning, fears that they might have that mightn't be consciously aware of, but are that are there that are limiting their lives to some extent. So along with that, then I also help them to identify and release those limiting beliefs, but also tap into that beautiful inner wisdom, which they have greater intuition, greater guidance as well, what I call within the soul. So I also bring that up as a facet within my coaching program. I also run 1 day wellness retreats here in Ireland, and I'm publishing my first book in October called Soul Signature. So I'm really excited to have that launched as well.
Great.
Yeah.
And also, I know that you worked almost 20 years in senior management within the health service. So,
Yeah.
what made you feel there was something deeper calling you?
Yeah, the calling. I've always had that calling. It's like a voice nagging on your shoulder. I've always known, I've always had that calling, I suppose, to help others. Even as a little child, as a little girl, I've always loved helping others. But, I suppose I've lived through huge transformation myself. So even in my book, I kind of outline that, where I was a deeply sensitive, intuitive child, really picking up lots of information from others, not knowing what to do with that. So as a result, I found it very difficult to speak to others. I had low self-esteem, low confidence. So my own journey was around really not only healing myself, but learning more about the human condition. So my background, I did study business and marketing. I went into the HSC, worked my way up to senior manager level, really liked my job actually, which was a real pain when you've a calling, because I would have happily stayed there. But I had to be of service to humanity, this call going to help others. So even in that health service environment, I studied clinical hypnotherapy, mind coaching, energy work, mediumship, you name it, everything, because I've always, since I was a little girl, going, how can we be happy? What is it with this human condition? Why is it so difficult? Why are people running in patterns of anxiety, and really having this real strong calling, as we'll say, to help others. So I did set up side businesses even when I was in the health services. I had a healing business, I had consultancy businesses. So I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial flair. That was it really. It is a calling. So every client that I work with, every retreat that I run, when I see the beautiful outcomes, the nurturing space, the awareness, the aha moments, I always go, it makes me feel that if I passed in the morning, I'd have this, I came here I came here to do what I was meant to do. And that's a beautiful feeling. You can't really put a price tag on that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And as you mentioned, like 8 years ago, you made the decision to leave that world and dedicate your life to transformational work. So,
Yeah.
what was the transformation like for you?
Fearful, I'll be honest. But there's no growth without fear, isn't that right, Tony?
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
yourself, yeah, as a coach as well. So as I say, what I teach is lived experience a lot of the time. Completely, I had 3 kids under 10. I have had a mortgage, and a job that I liked. It would have been a lot easier to leave the job if I didn't like it. But as I say, I was involved in national policy development, leadership. I'd learned a lot around resilience as well, and I had a very strong. It was like my inner guidance was like, you need to go now and do my work. And so even though I was fearful, I took those steps, which I always tell my clients, just do it. The universe will hold you if you're meant to do it. And again, had to break the news to my husband, going, by the way, I'm going to leave my permanent pensionable job and set up my own business. So I might have waited till he had a glass of wine to tell him, but luckily he's supportive of that. And yeah, I've never looked back. And again, word of mouth and feedback, it's been beautiful. I have been supported 100% by the universe. When you take those steps, I really believe when it's aligned with your passion and what you're here to do and your purpose, it's you will be held. You don't know. Again, you're always evolving as well, aren't you? But yeah, so I was absolutely. I had to step forward with the fear. 100%. The fear, sometimes you have to do it with the fear, don't you, Tony?
Exactly. And also you work in your work is about helping people reconnect with who they truly are beneath fear, limiting beliefs, and conditioning. So, what does that mean in real life?
I just think humans, we're fascinating. I just think we're absolutely fascinating. We're running around every day, running to get our coffee in the morning, and do you ever just sit down, Tony, and watch the world go by? We're all running from this kind of, the unconscious programming. Most of the time, 95% of our lives are run from that, and that programming is often, instigated by the age of 7. So depending on our circumstances, we might have, made ourselves small. We wanted really love to felt belong or to felt a sense of belonging and security, and sometimes we didn't receive that. So therefore our programming might be, you're not good enough, you need to do this to be loved, you need to people please, you need to keep yourself small. And I find that fascinating that we're running from this subconscious programming all the time. But then the deeper layer to my work, what makes me a little bit different, I suppose, from other coaches, is that I'm saying, well, let's just look at that first of all. Let's do a little life analysis on where you want things to change and to improve. Some people are quite happy to run off their programming, and that's fine. But if you want to change or you feel something's missing, that's where you need to come to me. So when you're kind of running in that loop, a lot of people, their nervous system, you probably find this as well, Tony, their nervous system is completely dysregulated, and they're living in that kind of fight, flight, freeze situation without even realizing it, because that's become the norm for them. Always, assuming that it's not safe, something bad is going to happen. Anxiety is looking into the future and seeing the negative, and so that becomes the norm, but that's very toxic, and you can't really live, in that vibration. It's not an abundant vibration. So I always bring energy work into my work as well. So when we shift that, make people aware of it and create safety. I mean, yourself probably, Tony, transformational work, it's deep work. We're going to go deep. We're going to have those emotions. We're going to look at where they come from. And we're going to create that space of safety for people to then go, oh, who am I at a deep level? Let's quieten the mind. Let's look within the intuition, the inner guidance. So I believe we're always receiving this inner guidance. But when we're muffled by the layers, what I call, you've heard me mention the invisible prison. That's one of my favorite talks that I love to talk about. We create these boundaries, and it prevents success and everything. I just find every person I deal with fascinating because their stories are so different. And I work with a huge amount of people in business actually who might have, what might be what it looks like a successful business, but actually they might have huge visibility issues. They might be afraid to up their pricing because there's value issues going on there and that. And to be honest, business, life, family, it's all an extension of what's going on within you. So everything comes within here. So that's essentially what I'm saying, Tony. It's like, let's dive deep. let's, I'm not there for the small talk. I'm like, right, what's going on with you and where do you want to go? I really want people to live their best lives and to go, you know what the story that I've been telling myself isn't the truth. It's just a story that I've been repeating and it's become a belief system. There's actually a lot more here for me. And it's beautiful to see that at the other end of the coaching programs I do and to see people step out. Beautiful. I love it. As you can see, I'm very passionate about it.
Totally, totally, and I
Yeah.
can recognize the results as well. So
Yeah.
you combine subconscious mind coaching and the hypnotherapy and intuitive guidance, nervous system work.
Mm.
How do those approaches help people create real change?
Yeah, they're all interlinked. In my retreats, I call them alignment of the mind, body, and soul. We're not just a separate part of us. So we can work on the mind, but actually, I find that's only one level. We kind of have to go deeper than that. So, if the mind is saying it's not safe, that's going to create the emotions, which sets off the nervous system. And the body feels the effect of that. The chemicals are coming through the body, which aren't healthy. It creates the disease. We're vibrating then at a lower vibration, which sends that energy out to the universe as well. So we're not achieving our goals and manifestations and everything like that. So it's working, through making people feel safe, creating the container that they begin to trust me, they begin to open up. We do breath work, which is a fantastic way to calm the nervous system. Beautiful meditations. We do quantum work, going back into an inner child work and future identity. One of my favorite things is going to, well, future identity, because Tony, I don't know if you find this, but people don't actually think about what you want. When I meet people, I say, what do you want to create? What are you? And they're like, What? They don't think about it. So how can you manifest the life you want other than winning the lottery? They might say that to me. But I'm like, you're not really meant to do that. You're probably here, you can create abundance, absolutely, but it starts from inside. So it's a mixture of everything. And my coaching containers are always going to be individualized as well to the person with their needs. As I say, I work with a mixture of people, a lot of business people as well that want to expand, but might even have a fear of being too successful. It's so different for everybody. So when we calm the nervous system, we can create a new programming for the mind, as I call them, soulful thoughts instead of conditioned thoughts, and get people to step into their mastery, and yeah, it's fabulous. But it's
Wonderful.
also
I mean,
important. Yeah.
definitely. And speaking about that, you say transformation doesn't come from becoming someone new, but from remembering who you were before fear convinced you otherwise. Can
Mm.
you explain that, please?
I think we come into this world as beautiful souls. We have a unique little soul blueprint, which is what my soul signature book is about. There's no one like you, Tony. There's no one like me. And then we live life and we're told we're not good enough. That, we compare ourselves to others. The mind comes in survival based. We hold on to the stories that, a teacher might have said we'll never amount to anything. And that's going to be our story going forward. It's fascinating that it doesn't matter how old people are, they're going to run from they're running from that program of a story they were told years ago. So it doesn't, you know, correlate with who they want to be right now. So yeah, it's fascinating work. That's what I love to get into and to delve into change and transform. And yeah, it's beautiful.
It's totally fascinating, and something you mentioned there, like we sort of hear things and then we run by those old programs and things like that.
Yeah,
Something I read, research I read recently was that by the time you're 18, 19, you hear 200 times, about 200,000 times what to do and 2 million times what not to do, so
yeah.
we're really focused on what
And
not to do.
exactly what do we focus on? Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's bound to our perceptions, isn't it? But it does take work as well. I always kind of talk to people before I work with them, going, will we be a good match? Because I want people that will do the work,
Mhm.
and I might come across as very smiley here or whatever, and I am, but I'm also going to get deep into it and say, come on now, you can do this, you can and push people a little bit out, as I call them, they're little in prison. We're going to push the prison out 2 feet
Mhm.
or 2 feet more and 2 feet more. So we're not overwhelming people, but we're definitely wanting to expand them and to get results as well from the journey that we're doing. But yeah, people focus on the negative. Why is that? Because we're programmed for survival, essentially, the human, aren't we?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
So you work one-to-one lead retreats, speak on stage and write.
Mm.
Which part of your work feels most alive for you right now?
I love, as you can see, I'm very passionate, right? Love my work, absolutely love it. I love working one to one, guiding people through everything, their shadow work, and coming out the other side and seeing their successes. Absolutely fantastic. I love the group work, where again we're in a very beautifully held space. Again, identifying issues people need to work through and again seeing the transformation. I love the writing because again Soul Signature has been a bit of a memoir and has allowed me to really the learnings that I've had so far in my life to be able to put them in a really practical way. So I have another idea for a book that I'm starting already. I love the idea of continuing that. But yeah, and the retreats are beautiful, really beautiful spaces. I have a lot of people that come now to those retreats when they're held and they're fantastic. We do breath work and it's beautiful. The connection, the community is amazing. But I think my passion at the moment is the speaking because I really do really want people. I think it's great to get a lot of people in a room and to be able to get them to think and to stop for a moment. As I say, we're so busy running around and we fill up our days so much, don't we, with busyness. And I'm kind of, is that aligned? There's nothing wrong with being busy. I'm a mom of three myself and that, but I'm running a business. But it's like, right, well, is this aligned with where I want to go? Are you filling up your calendar with just distractions as well? Or saying I'm too busy to do this or that? So you can see my real passion is speaking as well. So I love it all, Tony, but I do love the writing and the speaking too.
Exactly. Speaking of the
Yeah.
writing and your book, Soul
Yeah.
Signature, can you tell us a little bit more about that and what do you hope readers take from it?
Well, it is a book of hope, really, to be honest. I want people, no matter, who you are, really, I hope that this book, if you're looking for something a little bit more deeper, if you're feeling that even though you might have everything on paper, something's missing in your life, or you feel that you're not in the direction you want to go, that this book will help you because it will ask, it is memoir based. I do talk about the difficulties I've had in my own life as well, how I've overcome them. There's a lot of practical tools within it. I probably would have loved this book when I was going through my transition, it would help me a lot. So I've always that in mind. But also, it's a lot of the tools that I teach in coaching, but also talking a little bit more about the soul as well. What's a soul led life? What is, and it's very transformational. Everybody can connect with that inner wisdom. It's always there, but it's just that the mind is so busy. So I give practical tools on let's just take a few deep breaths, let's just calm that nervous system, and let's do a little meditation, and let's connect with that soul aspect of you, that inner wisdom, intuition, whatever it is. Can you imagine now, even in business meetings, if people just took a breath for a minute and just, and made decisions from that space as opposed to always kind of from the mind. So, I'd love this to be in companies and businesses, and from been working a lot in a business environment myself, I find a lot of people are in survival mode there. It's reaction. It's can I get through my day? And I think, businesses would turn around if we had a deeper connection, a more empowerment um, version of ourselves as staff, as leaders to that. So yeah, there's a lot in Soul Signature. I'm really excited for it to be available for everyone.
Great.
Yeah.
And speak about that. Your next chapter is about expanding your impact through speaking,
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
programs, retreats, and your book. So, what
Yeah.
does that bigger vision look like for you?
Yeah, I want to do more speaking. As I said, I've already got another idea for the book for another book, even though I have to launch this one in October. So I'd like to do more podcasts and get out there more, do more speaking events, just to again talk a little bit about Soul Signature, to talk a little bit more about the power that people have within them, the programming that might be running from, making people more aware and more empowered, and for people to live more to help people to live more of a life of freedom and mastery, rather than, as I say, living in this prison that we create. I find people fascinating, and I love connecting with them. So if I get a bigger platform through speaking and through the books and that, if it helps people, then that's fantastic. I'm delighted with that. Yeah.
Totally, yes. And
Yeah.
if people want to actually get in touch with you, Sinead, or
Yeah.
find out more about you, or connect to you, or even like maybe get your book, how they can do that?
Mm. Yeah, so I'm on all the social media platforms. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. My website is sineadwhite.com. I think you've got links to that as well, Tony. So yeah, I'm there. All you have to do is Google me and you'll find me. And as I say, the book will be available in October. The 1st of October is our launch date for the book. So again, I hope it helps people to step into greater purpose in life and to be happier. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
anyone watching us, you can actually check out the links in the description of this episode, and they'll be there. And then on top of that, if you like this episode, drop us a like, subscribe. If you have any questions for Sinead or me, you can ask them in the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer. And see you all in the next episode. All the best. And Sinead, thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
being a
much,
guest
Tony.
today.
Thanks a million. Lovely to be here. Thank
Thank
you.
you. All the best. Bye
Thanks.
bye.
Bye bye.